I lived in Boston, in the US when I was little. That's how I learned English, and I do have an American accent, although I'm Japanese.
True.
So going to California wasn't as daunting as, compared to um a Japanese person who's been born and raised here and, has never traveled at all. But it was very nerve-wracking for me to go into the recording studio. It was actually the first time that I did anything professionally, and to do that in a foreign country was definitely daunting as well. I remember the night before my first ever recording day, I thought like I was gonna die because of all the stress I was feeling. And so, although it was, I guess you could say, a little bit of a risk, to go all the way to another country to record. But at the same time, I can't imagine my life, how it would be if I haven't, done that. So I always tell myself that not taking the risk is the biggest risk.
Hey, this is your host Meenakshi Srivastava, also known as MyBohoVoyage, and I welcome you to another amazing episode of Inspiring Explorers. And as the name suggests, Inspiring Explorers is all about inspiring you with the inspiring life journeys of some of the most successful personalities from around the world, and they also share with us some interesting travel experiences that are not limited to sightseeing. For this episode of Inspiring Explorers, we have an inspiring explorer who's a rising Japanese singer and songwriter, Stella Venus. Stella Venus is a multilingual singer and sings in 3 languages, Japanese, Mandarin, and English, showcasing her versatility and love for different cultures. Stella began her music career professionally just last year, that is in the year 2022. In May of 2022, Stella released the CD of her first album, The New Beginning, in Japan, and the CD was extremely well received, and tickets for her first tour sold out immediately, as well as her performances in Tokyo, Kyoto, and Osaka were a huge success. In January 2023, she made a guest appearance at an event in Mexico, followed by her first official overseas live performance at a jazz club in Canada, delivering a moving performance to the international audience. Stella's journey is just beginning, and her path is paved with exciting projects on the horizon. As an international artist, Stella is preparing for spring of 2023 and the release of her highly anticipated debut single, along with the release of Chinese versions of her songs and upcoming performances in Europe. Born in Tokyo, Japan, her upbringing alongside her father, who himself is a highly influential best-selling author, she met all kinds of influential thought leaders that instilled in her a global perspective, inspiring her to delve into the depths of her artistry and connect with the audiences on a profound level. Stella is not just a multilingual singer, but also a composer and lyricist of her songs. And before we start this episode, let me tell you that you can watch all my Inspiring Explorer episodes on my YouTube channel, My Boho Voyage. You can also listen to them on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Google Podcast. Just search for Inspiring Explorers on the apps and you'll find the show. All the links are mentioned in the description box below, so do go check them out, and also come connect with me on Instagram at @MyBohoVoyage. So without any further ados, let me welcome our amazing guest for today, Stella Venus. So welcome to Inspiring Explorers, Stella. Super excited to have you on Inspiring Explorers. I was so looking forward to this for a very long time. So super happy to have you. Yoroshiku onegaishimasu.
Hi, yoroshiku onegaishimasu. Thank you so much for having me. I was so looking forward to this as well, and it's such an honor to be here. So thank you for inviting me.
Super honored to have you as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you started your journey at a very young age, and you are famous in Japan. You have also been famous in Mexico and loved in Canada as well. So what inspired you to sing professionally?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So first of all, let me say that I started my career last year as a singer. It's really weird to me still because I feel like I've been doing this forever, but at the same time, it's just started last year. And I'm not famous yet. But yes, so I have always loved music. But when you're a singer, when you have a particular occupation, you tend to be, identify yourself as that. But for me, It's not like I've wanted to do music, but in my upbringing and throughout my life, I've been blessed with so much love and so many amazing opportunities. And for me, music is the method where I could show and share my love. And I don't know if that's making sense. But I just wanted a way where I could give the love back to the world as, how much I received it. So that's kind of the reason why I do music. And of course, I love the act of creating music and singing. And I've been blessed to sing in many countries, including India recently. So
Yes.
I've been blessed in my journey so far. And yeah, I'm so humbled by the idea that this is my life, that I get to do what I love.
That is awesome. And you so humbly and kindly just said that you're not famous, but I think Japanese people heard you a lot and
Oh, thank you.
and they love you. And I can see
Oh,
that like you started very recently, that's true. But I saw your YouTube channel and there's a lot of love from the Japanese people because they actually got to hear you. And I'm
mm-hmm.
sure when the world hears you, they would love you a lot too. Because
Oh,
I think your voice is really, really beautiful.
thank you so much. I so appreciate it.
Yeah. So, like you said, that you just began your career and you got a chance to sing in India, Canada, and Mexico. So,
Hmm.
I heard that you also took a solo trip to California to discover
Hmm.
your, love for music more and enrich it more. So, like, I think for a 19-year-old girl to take a solo trip to California for her career is very daunting and a very brave act. So, how was that experience for you being a Japanese girl in a new country, solo at such a young age?
Right. Yeah, so I lived in Boston, in the US when I was little. That's how I learned English, and I do have an American accent, although I'm Japanese.
True.
So going to California wasn't as daunting as, compared to um a Japanese person who's been born and raised here and, has never traveled at all. But it was very nerve-wracking for me to go into the recording studio. It was actually the first time that I did anything professionally, and to do that in a foreign country was definitely daunting as well. I remember the night before my first ever recording day, I thought like I was gonna die because of all the stress I was feeling. And I recorded in two languages on a
Wow.
whim as well. So I was writing the lyrics till last minute, and all of that was happening at the same time. But my producers are so welcoming, and they're such kind people. And so in that sense, I wasn't scared. And also, I feel that that was the time when I was truly, it felt like I was living the predetermined destiny that I was supposed to, live and experience. So a lot of synchronicities and serendipitous things happened on that trip, and I met wonderful people. So although it was, I guess you could say, a little bit of a risk, to go all the way to another country to record. But at the same time, I can't imagine my life, how it would be if I haven't, done that. So I always tell myself that not taking the risk is the biggest risk. So, I'm glad that I did that. And I tell myself to take more risks, remembering that time.
That is true. Not taking a
Yeah.
risk is the biggest risk. That is true.
Yeah.
Because if you wouldn't have done that and not dared to do that, to be
Mm-hmm.
honest, then I think the world would not be listening to your voice right now.
Mm.
And you have a wonderful gift that you should definitely share with the world. So I'm glad you took that trip and you made that decision. And yeah, I can totally understand the anxieties and that you you would feel, like dying that time. So any chance that you would know that I know when you're very scared, so you do things, and do you have any idea of how did you overcome those anxieties? What did you do? And we would love to know those tips to overcome those anxieties.
Yeah, so I don't know if I'm the best person to ask this because I feel like I still haven't figured it out, but I guess just doing it is the only way you can overcome it because I've learned a lot about the human brain, psychology and all of that, but at the end of the day, you make it into a bigger problem by not doing it, right? So I think just having enough courage to just take the first step and the baby steps, I think is the only way we could overcome fear. And, for me, it's a struggle because, like the creative energy is a completely different thing than an energy that moves forward, I feel. So an energy that moves forward is sort of like an entrepreneurial, work or, taking new risks and doing new things. But the creative energy is it goes inward.
True.
So when you're creating songs and when you're creating new concepts, you have to sit alone and not do anything new, but to stick to a routine and find inspiration from the daily life. So it's really hard to um, do it all at once, and I'm still trying to figure it out. But I guess it's a combination of listening to yourself and looking inward, but also finding the courage to step out of your comfort zone.
True.
Um, yeah, so I think that, being a creative in this day and age is really difficult. And I might have the wisdom within a few years. But I'm still trying to figure everything out at the moment.
That's true. And you have just begun, so I'm sure you'll get more experiences to learn. That's how the process of creation goes.
Mm.
So, well, you also mentioned about singing in two languages. And I heard that you love Mandarin and you also speak English as well as Japanese. So, like, I understand using English, but what made you fall in love with Mandarin?
Yeah, so Mandarin, I've always been attracted to Chinese and the culture as well, of course. And I think that Chinese is so beautiful. And I have this incredible lyricist who's working with me and translating all of my songs into Chinese with me.
Wow.
And so I have the same song in three languages now. And it's really exciting that I get to sing these in these languages because I think that every language has its own uniqueness and its own power. And when I sing in Chinese, it sort of feels like, you know, whenever I do visit China, I kind of feel like maybe I I was Chinese at a certain point in time in my past life. I don't know. I feel so
Yeah.
connected to the country and the people and the culture. So, when I sing in Chinese, I definitely feel connected to the language. Um, but it's so interesting to me how different a song could sound within these languages. And it's not just, Japanese, Chinese, and English that I'm interested in. So who knows, maybe in the future I'll sing in Gujarati or in Hindu or
Yeah.
yeah, I want to try different languages for sure in the
Awesome.
future.
We would love to hear you in Hindi. That would be
Yeah, I would
fun.
love to sing a song in Hindi. Maybe you have to teach me
Oh,
how to
definitely. I would
sing.
love to. I would love to, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah, I'd love to learn.
You also mentioned that your new album that you're going to release. So when would we be able to hear the New Beginning album?
Yeah, so I released it in a CD form last year. Here's the CD right here
Wow,
in my
nice.
hand. Um, but I haven't released the digital version yet. It's set to be released around early summer, so I'm really excited about that. I have exciting music videos and all of that coming up, and this would be my first ever work that's going to be put out there in the world, so I'm excited for it. But the new beginning, I got this inspiration when I was so lost in my life, and this EP is about my journey of self-discovery and self-healing. So that's why I named it The New Beginning, because I want it to be, something that resembles that time in my life. It starts with a song called Bird in a Cage, and then it ends with a song called Into the Unknown.
Wow.
So it's my process of feeling like a bird in a cage to going out in the world into the unknown. Yeah, so I'm really excited to release this as my debut EP because it's so dear to my heart.
Definitely. And we would love to hear that, you know.
Yeah, thank you.
Yay. I think I heard the bird in the cage when you sang in
Mhm,
Canada and you shared it on your social media. I absolutely loved that song, to be honest. So, yeah,
thank
super
you.
excited that when you will release it. I would love to
Mhm.
hear the entire album.
Yes.
Yay.
Thank you.
So when you said that, your brain was already trained towards, you know, it wasn't as daunting for you to go to California because you already had that mindset in you. You also happen to be the daughter of a best-selling and famous author of Japan. So how was your childhood, and like when we are surrounded by the thought leaders that have such powerful thoughts, it changes us in so many ways and our experiences are different. So how was your childhood like, and your experiences with, growing up with such powerful thought leader?
Yeah, so I would say I definitely had an abnormal childhood, I guess. A unique childhood, if you would
Yeah.
say. I actually went to a school where there's no teachers and no classrooms as well. So
Okay.
that's a completely different thing that we'll have to talk about later. But that and the combination of, my father being my father, I met so many different people around the world who are, living different ways, and I've met so many top leaders within the country and also, in different places in the world, which I'm sure definitely shaped me in one way or another. Um, I guess, looking back on my childhood, for me, it was a normal thing to live a life of service and to live with purpose. And because I saw so many, examples of that in my childhood. And so, I have a few people who truly inspired me and who shaped the way I think. There's this person called Lynn Twist, who is an incredible philanthropist. She's so kind and so driven and so mission based and so service based. So she lives a life based on, what can I do for the world? And what can I do to make the world a better place? And the Nobel Peace Prize winner is a person called Muhammad Yunus.
Wow.
And he was like the kindest person that I've ever met in my life. And I guess I could say that all the people that have impacted me are all so kind. So I don't know another adjective to describe them. But I actually had the opportunity to sing for him, and he was so gracious, and I can just see the sweetness in his eyes. And if you wouldn't know that he's a Nobel Peace Prize winner, you would never know.
Wow.
And so just the presence of him, just the pure kindness that you feel in him was something that inspired me so much. And I've met this person in the royal family in Japan. Her name is Princess Takamado. And she is such a genuinely incredibly sweet person and so
Wow.
humble. And
Okay.
she actually speaks three languages, Japanese, because, she's Japanese, and English and French. And she was actually one of the big reasons why 2020 Olympics happened in Japan. And she gave a speech at the Olympics committee in French. So I thought that was super cool. But meeting with her and having conversations with her throughout the years um, has has changed the way I think for sure. She's an incredible philanthropist, and the same thing with Eunice, but she's such a kind-hearted person, and she's a princess, a real life princess. So I get a little nervous whenever I meet her. But she doesn't make you feel inferior or uncomfortable in any way whatsoever. And although, she's such an influential person, and also Mr. Muhammad, he's such an influential leader, you feel so seen by them. They're so present in the moment, and you feel so connected to them. And that's incredible because, they live such busy lives, and yet the fact that they're able to, be present with the person in front of them, I think that the way they are is incredible. Yeah, I've met so many people who are affluent and who have a lot of um freedom and wealth, but at the same time have so much kindness and in their hearts, and I've been inspired by people like that. So in my life, my question is, what can I do? And for me, my way of, giving back to the world was music, but I'm sure that I'll find different ways in the future. And, that's the life that I want to live, and those are the people that I'm inspired by.
Wonderful. And that's awesome. Like the kind of people that you've met. This is so powerful, and you're blessed to be, surrounded by such amazing thought leaders.
Yeah, so I found that the most incredible people and the most incredible leaders are so humble.
True.
And it's more the way that they are, and it's who they are. And behind the cameras, that's when you know who that person is, how a person behaves off camera. And I've
True.
encountered those personal moments where, they don't even have to do or give that much, but they give and give and give. And,
Yeah.
you know, these influential people who are so incredibly kind and humble, just the way they are. I wish that I could bring you back in time and put you in the room and have an experience with those people. But I've learned that the truly incredible people are the most humble, and I want to be that way, and I hope that I could be even like a millimeter close to what they represent and who they are. I look up to them quite a lot.
Yeah, that is
Hmm.
so true because I think the more podcast episodes that I've taken and the more I've talked to all these influential people, one
Hmm.
thing that, like you said, is common is that they are very humble.
Hmm.
And uh, it helps us understand that we need to be a better person as well every day in our life. That's very beautiful. And I would have loved to be in that room if I could time travel. That's true.
I wish I could have like a recorder in my brain and like project that onto a screen and show you
True, that would have impacted
my
all of
memory.
us so much. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Mhm.
Like you mentioned that you produce your songs, you direct your songs, you even edit them, and you write your lyrics.
Mhm.
Like, first thing, how talented are you? And second
Oh,
thing,
thank you.
and second thing, like, how does that feel wearing so many multiple hats? And I'm sure that would be overwhelming. So, how do you first manage all of that? Daily getting
Yeah,
inspired as
so
well.
it's not just the task in itself, but as I was talking earlier about the different energies, like the outward energy and the inward energy, it's really hard to explain. But for example, if you're writing an email, or if you're planning for a new event in the future, versus when you're creating a song, versus when you're editing a video, it's a completely different part of the brain that you're using.
Yeah.
So I definitely batch similar tasks together. So one day would be for planning events, and one day would be for creating concepts, and then because I find that when I do all of those things in one day, my brain just explodes and I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
But I don't know how other creative people do it. But I think that I'm definitely more of a producer and not just a creator. So that adds another element to think about. So definitely when I'm creating songs, of course I create from my heart. So the songs in my first EP are songs that, are songs about what I went through and what I felt and my personal challenges. But at the same time, I write for other artists as well. So when I'm writing songs, um, I'm sort of connecting myself to that person, whoever I'm writing for, and I'm trying to channel what she or he is thinking.
Mm.
So that's another creative method or another way of creating. But it's definitely daunting to do all of that. So
Yeah. I
I'm
can
I'm
only
still trying to
imagine.
manage. I would want to know like the best way to be creative and also do business and be in that, I don't know if you call it entrepreneurial mindset, but like a
Yeah.
logical side that you use in your brain. I want to know how you can, sort of merge these together. Please let me know if you know a good method.
Well, we'll ask our listeners and viewers if you have any idea, do let us know in the comments.
Yeah, please let us know.
Because it is challenging.
I don't know if you saw a video of me holding candles. I directed and edited that myself.
Oh my God. I thought you just produced that.
Oh
It
no.
looked so smooth.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
And that was my first ever shoot that I did a
Awesome.
while back.
Wow.
Yeah.
Kudos to you. And we are waiting for more content from you then. It's awesome.
Yes. Thank you. Yes, as well, it's coming soon, so I'm
Yeah.
excited to share with you. So my EP is going to be out in early summer. I'm planning a mini tour, but I'm still trying to
Awesome.
figure out the logistics. But if you follow me on my YouTube channel and my Instagram, I'm posting pictures from all over the world, singing all over the world. So please
Awesome.
connect with me online.
Definitely. And I'll mention all the links in the description box below.
Thank
Please do
you.
check
Yeah.
Stella. She's awesome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right. So coming towards the travel part, Stella. So you have also been to India and you have been around the world, Mexico, California, Boston, Japan. So any travel experience or cultural shock, could you
Mhm.
share any one or two experiences with us?
Yeah, of course. Oh, I've been to so many countries, but India is probably my favorite place ever. I really truly fell in love with India and Delhi and
Yucatane.
yeah, it's so beautiful there and the people are so kind. But there were a lot of things that I was shocked by when I was in India. For example, oh my goodness, the people lining up in India, I feel like they're so close to each other.
Yeah, that is true.
Why is that? I wanted to ask you, why are people so close to each other? Because, for example, in Japan, when you go on the trains, you purposefully put like one seat, you keep it open. So, for example, if there are a lot of seats and if somebody sits next to you, they will look at you weirdly because it's polite to keep the personal space.
Yeah.
And because we have a lot of people, for example, in Tokyo, we sort of turn our like energies off to the point where you can't really notice if somebody's there. That's how we are. So I was so shocked in India. There's so much space, but everybody's lining up so closely to each other. Why is that? Can you
Yeah.
tell me why?
I don't know why they do that, but yeah, that's a lot in India. They just
Right,
it's a cultural shock for me as well. I cannot get over that.
right. Well, I don't think it's a bad thing. I just thought that it was so interesting that somebody, I have to show you a picture or show you a video for you to understand the concept of what I'm talking about because you stand close to each other almost to the point where you could touch that person in front of you, right? I just think it's really nice. And I think the reason why you can do that is because you have the trust within the community. Because if you don't, then you can't do that. So, I think it's a good thing, but it was a culture shock for
You're too
sure.
kind.
Yeah, no, but
Too kind to think that was nice.
no, I think it's a fun thing. It's really hard to explain through words. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we know. Like all the Indians watching this would know
Would
what you
know, right?
mean.
Right.
Yeah.
You want to
Like,
talk more about the culture shock?
yeah, any more cultural shocks that you can share with us?
Okay, well, in India, I was really shocked about, the driving there. I was in Rishikesh. I was invited to this yoga festival to sing there in India, and I
Awesome.
was so honored, and I went there. But you have to go through the mountainside to get to
Mm.
close to the Gandhi River, where the yoga festival was hosted,
Yeah.
and the driving to get to that place was so nothing like I've experienced before because it's really hard to explain, but there's like a one-way street in
Yeah.
Japan, for example. It's too narrow that it should be like a one-way street, but it's not. And also people try to surpass the cars.
Overtake you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So that was really bad news.
Again, the
Yeah,
Indian people will understand you. You don't
right,
have
right,
to
right.
worry.
I thought I was gonna die, but then I didn't because, people are so used to driving like that, and it was fun. I wish I could experience that again because I feel that in Japan we're so rigid with our rules, and we calculate everything and every move and our life plan and all of that. But when you go to India, you don't know what to expect. So
That is true.
yeah,
That is true. I've had many life and death experiences in India because of that, the driving.
yeah, it felt like I was on a real life like Mario Kart situation. That's how I would describe it. It was so much fun. Yeah, well, I'm sure that a lot of people who visit India talk about the cows.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understood and I knew it before, and I saw live footages of, cows just casually like crossing the streets and things before, but actually seeing it in real life is a totally different experience. And it was shocking, of course, to see a real, live cow just casually passing by. But I was really shocked to find other animals like monkeys and peacocks. I went to this garden in Delhi, or was it the tomb? I think it was Satyajung tomb. Maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong.
Hmm.
There was a tomb, and
Safdarjung.
the Satyajang. Yeah, yeah, the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Satyajang tomb. Sorry,
Hmm.
I'm
That's
butchering the
okay. Yeah.
pronunciation. But there was a peacock there, and I was so shocked because I've never seen a peacock before, even in the
Yeah.
zoo.
Wow.
Um, it's sort of like heaven on earth almost, it's like paradise, these animals just living and coexisting with you.
Yes.
And I think that's so beautiful, and that's something that I haven't experienced in other parts of the world except for India. I've been to Costa Rica, and I guess that's the place where I've experienced sort of like a similar feel of heaven on earth, like paradise kind of feel, but at the same time, that's wild nature that you get in Costa Rica. But in
Yeah.
Delhi, there's the city part of it, and then you can see the old Delhi and just beautiful gardens everywhere. I was surprised that in Delhi there's a lot of green
Yeah.
because I thought it was going to be more like a city jungle with all these skyscrapers.
Yeah, true.
Um, but there was a lot of green there.
Hmm.
So I'm just so excited to just see different parts of India too.
Yeah, I'm sure
You
you
have
would
to show
love
me
to.
around.
Yeah, I would love to. You know,
Yeah.
like you mentioned, you saw peacocks that were in the
Hmm.
Safdarjung tomb. There are
Hmm.
times in India when I would go to work, and I'll also share the video here. So Like I would be going to office by car, and
Mhm.
there were elephants walking, right next to my car.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, for real. And like, so Delhi is also connected to a lot of places in India, right? So you can sometimes, if you're lucky, you'd see camels, you'll see elephants, or you'll see horses and a lot of animals just walking next to your cars.
This was in Delhi, right?
Yeah, it was in Delhi again.
Oh my, how? How is an elephant existing in Delhi?
It
That's
must be coming
crazy.
from a nearby farm area, or
Mhm.
it could be like that because Delhi is also surrounded by a lot of farms, right?
Oh,
That's cool. That's cool that you had fun in India. All right,
yeah.
Stella. So, any last message for our listeners and viewers?
Yeah, well, thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I'm so honored that you invited me to speak here today. And please subscribe to Meenakshi's YouTube channel and keep
Thank you.
updated on my Instagram and YouTube. I'm going to release my debut EP soon, so keep posted for that.
Yes, so eagerly waiting for your debut album. And yes, and subscribe to Stella Venus as well.
Thank you.
So
Oh,
glad to have you on Inspiring
thank
Explorers.
you.
Thank you
I
so
was so
much.
honored to be here. Thank you so much.
Same here, Stella. Same here.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. So, this was Stella's inspiring life journey so far and some interesting travel experiences. Thank you so much for giving your precious time to this podcast. If this episode was inspiring and insightful, please subscribe to my YouTube channel or come connect with me on my Instagram at @MyBohoVoyage. All links to reach out to me and my guests are mentioned in the description box below, so do check. Also, the video version of the episodes are on my YouTube channel. Links in the description. Also, please don't forget to connect with me on Instagram and YouTube. Send me a hi or drop a comment so that I know we are in this journey together. This is Meenakshi, your host for Inspiring Explorers, saying goodbye. See you next time with another amazing, inspiring interview. Till then, take care.